Today in the show we have Telefonica and Helium expanding in Mexico, Dubai exploring digital assets inheritance, the Beam wallet allowing Amazon shopping, and much more. I'm your host Mauricio Magaldi, and this is Block Drops, your weekly digest on blockchain for business. These news are not a form of endorsement, sponsorship, or encouragement for consumption and are meant for educational purposes only. We recently covered one of the new buzzwords of the season, which is a DePIN, or Decentralized Public Infrastructure Networks. And recently my friend Gustavo Cunha reminded me that we were already discussing DePIN without necessarily naming it like that when we discussed about the Helium network. Helium, for those of you who don't know or don't recall, Helium was this piece of infrastructure. It's a hotspot that you buy and you put it in your house, and you get paid in Helium tokens. And the people who use that network pays for the use of the network, and you get a cut of that in Helium tokens. So that's how Helium makes money and makes you money. And it was one of the first instances of what we now call DePIN again. And the news of the week is that they partnered with Telefonica. Telefonica is one of the largest telco operators in the world, and they will be rolling out mobile hotspots in Mexico City and Oaxaca. This is signed partnership between Telefonica and Nova Labs, the manufacturers of the Helium hotspot and the governors per se of the Helium blockchain. So for that, the customers of Telefonica will be able to connect with the Helium mobile hotspots as part of their Telefonica mobile plans, and that should improve mobile coverage that Telefonica can offer to their customers, and also offload the Telefonica network from the overload, so they can actually provide a better service across the board. So Telefonica is a big player. They have over $20 billion market cap. They have over 380 million customers across Europe and Latin America. And according to Jose Juan Haro, who's the Chief Wholesale and Public Affairs Officer at Telefonica, he says, and I quote, "This program in Mexico is critical to evaluate performance and customer satisfaction of this solution and its associated costs," end quote. So this is big league, right? If we think about blockchain adoption across industries, which is pretty much what we've been talking about since we started the podcast back in 2019, is that this changes how industries operate. And if this pilot, which is not exactly a rollout, but it's a pilot, between Telefonica and Helium in Mexico proves the point, that means that we can start getting a lot more serious about using such infrastructure or DePIN powered by blockchain to actually create industry-wide horizontal value in terms of cost management, in terms of ownership, in terms of distribution and resilience. Because if you have a building with 5 or 6 hotspots from Helium, if one fails, then the network's still running because the other 4 or 5 are still there. So there's a lot more resilience, and because there is a positive reinforcement or a positive incentives architecture, that means that regular folks who want to be able to profit or benefit from being part of providing this infrastructure, now they can do it. So very interesting thing. The note also reminds us that back in 2021, Helium partnered with Dish, one of the largest internet providers, and is building out their 5G network. And now they have 1 million hotspots across 65,000 cities and 170 countries. That's a lot of footprint, right? So very interesting point, very interesting note of the week as we continue to see more and more of this DePIN buzzword permeate the headlines, even though this is from a pre-buzzword player Helium. If you've been around the podcast for a while, you know that we will continue to bring in headlines and commentary on the evolution of user experience in Web3 and in crypto. And today's no different. We found this very interesting headline about a new project between Dubai's DIFC Innovation Hub, which is a local Dubai institution that is pushing for the adoption of new technology across the region that will involve Euroclear and Julius Baer. Julius Baer is a Swiss private bank that's been in the region for over 20 years, and they cater to high net worth individuals, family offices in general, high net worth clients, and they are now working to explore what is something that is a logistical challenge in crypto, if you will. Most of the crypto assets that we own, when we call it in self-custody, you've probably heard about not your keys, not your money, or not your keys, not your coins. And this translates to the fact that if you have control of the private keys or the seed phrases that determine the wallet address in a blockchain, you in practice own the assets associated with that address in the blockchain, which means that most digital assets are a bearer instrument, meaning if you're carrying the keys, you are carrying the assets. So in the event of someone passing away or being severely injured and not having access to those keys, that set of keys is in practice lost. And if you're gathering wealth in digital assets and you don't have a mechanism to hand it over to the next generation, that means that the inheritance process is in fact non-existent. So being a high net worth banking provider, Julius Baer is partnering with Euroclear in this DIFC innovation project to identify how to apply technologies that involve smart contracts in guaranteeing that if you have digital assets and they are part of your will, they're part of the inheritance for your family across generations, there will be mechanisms in the blockchain that you can actually deploy to pass those assets to the next bearer or to the next generation of your family, right? According to the article, for the next decade, it is expected that $1 trillion in assets will pass for the next generation in the Middle East region. So that is a lot of money that if they are increasingly held in wealth, in digital wealth, it's very likely that without this mechanism, it will be impossible for the next generation to actually have access to those assets. So according to Mohamed Abloushi, who's the CEO of the DIFC Innovation Hub, and I quote, "The region is witnessing a trend of generational wealth being deployed across a variety of digital asset classes to diversify and future-proof their portfolios. This newly launched innovation project will help transform one of the largest underserved markets in the region and open doors to a more inclusive and tech-enabled future for family businesses and the wealth management industry," end quote. Well, according to the head of group strategy, product management, and innovation at Euroclear, Philippe Laurency, he says, and I quote, "By validating and unlocking the benefits of smart contracts, we have the potential to redefine the narrative of wealth management, creating solutions that could span generations," end quote. Listen, I'm not a wealth individual. I understand a little bit of the high net worth and wealth industry, and this is critical. This is one of those things that, if unresolved, is a disincentive for these individuals to actually come and invest in and through crypto. So let's follow closely the developments of this project. They'll publish a white paper for the results and in order to help other jurisdictions in other areas in the world, and it's going to be very interesting to see this come to fruition. And on the third drop today, we get back to UX. This is a very interesting development in not the high net worth, but in a more kind of accessible reality in crypto, as Beam Wallet, which is developed by Echo, will be integrated upon an acquisition by Echo of the Web3 shopping app called Join. So Beam is probably one of the easiest to onboard wallets in crypto currently, because it doesn't require necessarily you to go through the seed phrase and the private key ceremony and ritual. You can actually create a new Beam wallet with your Twitter login, your X login. So you can actually go and create a wallet associated with your social login, and that becomes the way for you to interact with the blockchain. Right now, Beam is only available in Optimism and Base. Base is the Coinbase L2 on Ethereum. Optimism is another L2 on Ethereum. And according to their announcement on Twitter, according to Beam, or the Echo team that takes care of Beam, they are setting up a waitlist that will roll this new feature with Join. So now if you have a Beam wallet, starting in February, you'll be able to integrate your wallet and buy from websites, from e-commerce websites such as Amazon and Shopify, which is what Join initially enabled. You could have your own wallet, connect with Join, and Join would allow you to spend your crypto in Amazon and on Shopify. So according to Tom Dean, who's the CEO and co-founder of Join, he says, and I quote, "We built Join so crypto could be used as a currency without waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. The frictionless spending of stablecoins was the first step, and integrating into Beam propels this vision even further. As the crypto ecosystem continues to grow, and we're looking at the start of the next cycle, this signals the seamless, consumer-friendly crypto payment experiences are finally ready for the global stage." End quote. So, yeah, this is one of those things that we keep expecting to happen, and we get pretty excited when it does, because this means that the friction for any one individual to onboard and make use of digital assets in their daily lives is becoming increasingly less complex and increasingly less friction, because now there are tools that enable that degree of abstraction that is required for the experiences to be very much intuitive. And we all know, but it's worth mentioning, payments is not the end of things. Payments is means to an end. You don't want to take the bus, you want to go somewhere, right? You don't want to buy a gift, you want to charm, or you want to surprise someone. You don't want to pay for your tickets for the plane, you want to go out on vacation. That's the means to an end in terms of jobs to be done, right? So the Clayton Christensen approach to solving people's problems, and payments is a part of that. So we're pretty excited to see that this is an evolution, and I would hope to see more across a variety of other wallets. These are just two blockchains, Optimism and Base, where Beam is available, and I hope we'll start to see in other blockchains, in other ecosystems, the same approach to, say, jobs to be done in terms of making sure that not only you get to your digital assets, but that you can actually use your digital assets for whatever the case is. In a week back full of news, here is more. Itaú announced they will use Liqi's trading platform for their client offering. Polygon proposed a new thesis in scaling called aggregated blockchains. FitBank and goBlockchain announced a partnership to tokenize financial assets. BitWise exposed their Bitcoin ETF addresses for public transparency. The Bank of England published their response to their own consultation about the digital pound in partnership with HMRC. El Salvador approved issuance of digital assets backed by soybeans. There's a black swan bug on Ethereum mainnet that might require a chain rollback if left unaddressed. And the CEO says OpenSea has received acquisition offers but will wait for the right partner. Catch us online. We're on Instagram at BlockdropsPodcast, on Twitter at BlockdropsPod or 0x Mauricio. We're on Lens at Blockdrops.lens. We have a newsletter on LinkedIn. Write to us at blockdropspodcast@gmail.com, and you can listen to the Blockdrops podcast at Spotify, iColab, Faberbun Tech, and all of the other major streaming platforms. Yay! Shoutouts today to the people who shared the links you will find in the episode notes: Daniel Cocchieri, Caio Barbosa, Fernando Velica, Leonardo Cavalcante, Lilith Miribian, Lugi Tillier, Bruno Leon Winnick, Laura Shin, and Fabio Seixas. Don't forget to leave your ratings on your favorite player. This is all for today. Stay rare, stay weird, LFG.